And if she failed math, then your kid's going to be a big dumb because, and that's just not true. Like, one, we can relearn the math. And two, there are other people that can teach your kids new things that they don't know.
Yeah. And then also another thing about co-op, with bouncing off that learning idea, is that because there's so many different kind of co-ops, or I believe that there should be so many different kind of co-ops, is that they might find an interest in the class that they're teaching. You never know what really will intrigue that child until they learn. Like, I saw someone who's doing like a history co-op, and it is an outdoor history class, and it is really neat. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that sounds so much fun. I didn't like history, but if I was a kid, I believe that I would have loved it, because the projects they were doing and how they were doing it, and they're like going through these trails and learning about like what happened over there, or how they built this and stuff like that. And like, these kids are finding interest.
That way, we probably would have been interested in it,
So like zero interest in history. But now I'm like, teach me everything about history.
I know. I feel like I need to go back and like relearn it, because I feel like they didn't tell us a whole lot. And then they told us like weird stuff that we didn't need to know. I was thinking this the other day. Like we talked in one earlier episode about like how they demand that kids learn the capitals of the states, which like that's super cool, whatever. But like there's so many things that we learned. Like I remember doing a whole unit on Guatemala. I'm sure Guatemala is a great place. But where is that serving me today? Like, what is it? Like, my friend's married to a man from Guatemala, but that is like the only connection I've got.
That's so funny. You remember learning all about Guatemala?
Because I got an E on my final project for Guatemala, and I created a board game, and my father was not pleased with my E. And I think that's why I remember it. Yeah. 6th grade, Mr. Troutman. Yep. Scarred for life. So yeah, like, that's just such a good point, that there's so many different things, but by taking them to these co-ops and these classes, they can learn like, oh, I'm super interested in history, or like, oh, I'm super not.
Yeah.
And they're not stuck learning just the capitals, or just, the natural resources that come from Guatemala, which apparently I didn't learn because I got an E on my thing. I know.